It's the Security Weekly News. It is episode 498. Welcome to the week of 27 July 2025. I'm Doug White. We've got Popup pornography, LoveSense, tea, fire ant, scattered spider, AI pricing, Josh Marpet, and more on the Security Weekly News.
This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
It's the show that keeps you up to date on the latest security news twice a week. Your trusted source for accurate security information and expert analysis. It's time for the Security Weekly News. Ransomware, supply chain attacks, 0 days, cyber threats don't wait, and neither should your defenses. With ThreatLocker, you're not just reacting to threats, you're stopping them before they start. Our zero trust endpoint protection locks down your environment with pinpoint control over what's allowed to run and what's not. No guesswork, no blind spots, just proactive, built for now security that keeps your business moving. Want to see how a true default deny strategy works? Head over to securityweekly.com/threatlocker and take the first step towards shutting the door on threats before they even knock. All right, I'm Doug White, and it's the Security Weekly News. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment, or you get a heat wave, and you get a heat wave, and you get a heat wave. You all get heat waves, unless you're in Australia, in which case you get a blizzard or something. I don't really know what winter weather in Australia is like. I'll have to ask somebody. But we will be at Black Hat next week, so be sure to say hi, but don't be too loud because we're recording interviews. But, you know, I will miss episode 500 next week, if you can believe that. Somebody will be doing it, Josh and Aaron probably. But I'm going to do landmark Fibonacci episode, so I think I'm going to hang on for episode 610. So, you know, instead of these decimal things. All right, now I'm not going to shame anyone, okay? If everybody's consenting and everybody's of age and, you know, none of the things have expired, I'm fine with whatever you want to do. I am. I mean, I'm completely okay with it. But you still need good cyber hygiene, okay? And we always see these stories, but to me, this one's a little different. So a sex toy company, it's a little different, but it started with a sex toy company. A sex toy company called LoveSense makes, they specialize apparently in Wi-Fi connected sex toys, which to poor old vanilla me was like, what? Why? Then somebody explained it to me, and they were like, I was like, oh, okay, but what? But anyway, LoveSense produces toys that are often controlled by their phone apps. And that means you can do remote stuff like, you know, whatever. And they claim on their site they have 20 million customers worldwide. So, you know, all those plain brown packages you've been seeing around your neighborhood? Yeah, you know what's in those. But anyway, in order to connect to these toys, you have to register. Okay. And basically their connected experience that you registered for has a 0-day vulnerability that could expose your name and your email address. Now, before everybody, you know, jumps up and runs out of the room and goes, oh, no, sorry, I got a call. You know, obviously, you could probably set up fake emails for this. I mean, I have so many fake email accounts I can't keep up. I have to write them down so that when I have to register for something that I don't care anything about, I just, you know, use a fake email address and a fake name. But in 2016, LoveSense also had flaws and exposed emails and allowed people to verify that an email had an account at LoveSense. So, you know, look, I don't care what you do. I don't care who you do it with, as long as everyone's, you know, of age and willing. But I will warn you, and you may want to warn all your people, which is why I brought this story up, that when people start installing apps on their phones, it's always going to be dangerous, especially when they're installing things that they would probably be embarrassed or, you know, not comfortable calling the help desk and saying, this app is behaving strangely. And somebody's like, what is the app? And it's like, oh, it's my remote vibrator control. You know, I mean, I've known people who would have been completely comfortable with that, but it's still going to be very, very dangerous. Now, it seems pretty harmless, except that there's this big potential here for extortion and embarrassment, where somebody says we were able to, you know, identify you and use that as a sort of phishing basis for extortion. So if you're going to play, you know, you're going to play and use online apps, sex toys, not sex toys, it doesn't matter. You may want to evaluate the exposure that you have from this, and is it worth it before you plunk down your personal credentials. And likewise, this has always been my suggestion to people who were vaguely asking me these kind of questions. Like, asking for a friend. You might want to get a phone just for testing apps, like an old phone. I know people always trade them in, but I have some old ones, and we just, I use those to test apps. I mean, it's a bad idea to put sex apps on your work phone or any apps for that matter, but it's also a bad idea to put that video game on there or anything else. So embarrassment aside, be very careful what you install on your phone and warn your people so they don't get compromised. And then once they get compromised, somebody's saying, well, here, I need you to install this on the corporate network, or I'm going to reveal that you have these like Wi-Fi sex toys. Now, like I say, I know plenty of people be like, reveal it. I have it on my Facebook page, but that not everyone is that comfortable with that kind of thing. Now, speaking of bad apps, T, which I wasn't familiar with, is a woman-only dating safety platform. So it basically lets members share reviews about men, and all the users on the site theoretically are vetted by requiring them to submit a selfie and a government issued ID to verify that they are indeed who they say they are. So an anonymous user posted on 4chan, imagine that, that they basically, what this anonymous user said was, there's an unsecured Firebase storage bucket. Yeah, you know how this ends. And basically that storage bucket was used by this T app to store driver's license information and selfies that had been uploaded by the members, and also included anything that had been attached to comments about this user. So they had photos and images and so forth. And apparently there's already a site up where you can rate the people's selfies and all this kind of sleazy stuff that, it's 4chan. So the 4chan user then, that wasn't enough. The 4chan user then shared a Python script that could be used to download the data from the bucket. I'm guessing the 4chan user got a bad review on this website. It's probably, yeah, I won't get into that. But the leak was corrected really shortly because, they went and fixed a bucket that had the wrong privileges. But over 59 gigabytes of data was exposed. And T said that it affected any users who signed up before 2024. So it must have been a legacy data kind of place. But the data is now being shared on hacking forums. And again, this can lead to exploitation. This could lead to personal, danger. Some of these guys don't take it well when somebody says, not the best, and then they get all worked up and become incels or something and go on rampages. But anyway, all this can lead to exploitation, social engineering, and extortion. And that's a problem for all of us as well. 404 Media said that another database from T was also found that had 1.1 million private messages that were sent between users on the T platform. And like I say, since this is a dating safety site, that's really dangerous, because this is supposed to be a safe place where people can say, don't go out with Doug. All he'll do is talk about Star Trek is better than Star Wars the whole time. Yeah. But researchers said that any T user could have accessed stored user data using their own API key. So again, be careful what you share, but review your data too. I mean, what do you have out there in bit buckets? I would presume this is going to be pretty heavy damage to a brand that's supposed to be safe and protecting users from exposure, and then allowed them to be exposed. So I know I would not be too trusting to go to an app like this on the second round. So, and you don't want that happening to your enterprise either. So what do you have stored? Where is it stored? And who can see it? Good day to check. FireAnt is a Chinese linked espionage campaign, and it has been targeting virtualization and networking infrastructure. Now, primarily their target has been VMware ESXi and vCenter. So if you don't know what those are, VMware ESXi is a type 1 hypervisor, a bare metal hypervisor, and vCenter is a UI server that runs on top of ESXi to allow you to manage it. So it's a management tool. They also were targeting F5 networking appliances. So they're using all this together. Signia said that FireAnt established strong control over victims' ESXi hosts and vCenter servers, and then they get into the guest environments using unauthenticated host-to-guest command execution. Because if you can get into the ESXi, it's over. You have access to everything at that system command line. So, I mean, the hypervisor is the server, vCenter sitting on top of it. So getting into vCenter, if you can get into ESXi, is a big, not that hard. And I would presume any compromise of ESXi would be pretty debilitating to your operations. Reports indicated that the group seems to be exploiting bugs before patches exist, which may mean they're the ones finding the 0 days. And then they work to establish persistence quietly because they're not 12-year-olds. They don't immediately go in and deface all your web pages with Doug is a prevert kind of nonsense. They go in, they set up very subtle looking accounts that, have weird names that look like they might belong to the system or something. So when you're looking at it, you're going, well, I probably shouldn't mess with that. So remember, just patching is not necessarily going to stop you from being vulnerable if nobody knows about it yet. So, if somebody can jump in there and gather all the credentials and tokens before this exploit is known, I have you. And I can just come back and set up my own accounts. I can come back and log into, and set the admin password whenever I want. So they basically said that teams would likely need to redeploy clean hypervisors, which sounds pretty ominous, verify their firmware, rotate their service credentials, restrict management interfaces, and enable continuous integrity checks on virtualization and networking appliances until you're certain the attackers are not able to get back in the system. That's pretty onerous. I mean, it's like trying to kill roaches, right? I mean, there's always another roach. And if they're in your system, so better to fix all this in advance. So one, patch up when you can, but you may need to review your credential rotation plans and enforcement as well. And please don't expose your management interfaces. We don't need to see them, and put them on private VLANs. It'll be really, really okay. Please just, I keep saying it, but you don't do it. Don't need to see them. Speaking of targeting ESXi, Scattered Spider has also been focused on ESXi lately, and in particularly targeting retail, airline, and other transportation industries. Now, Scattered Spider doesn't waste time. Unlike these previous people, the Fire Ant people, Scattered Spider doesn't waste time searching for elaborate vulnerabilities. They just call you up, pretend to be the IT help desk, and pretty soon, old Gil lets Jesus take the wheel, and then they're in. I mean, if somebody can talk you into letting them run a remote desktop control app on your system, it's over. Now, this is new. Sort of going after ESXi has been a new activity for Scattered Spider, because they used to just try to take over the local machines from, hapless employees. But now they're trying to take over the whole hypervisor. Because guess what? If I can call down to the hypervisor management center and talk them out of letting me, can I please remote into your hypervisor to fix it? I mean, and Scattered Spider's really good at living off the land, so you don't know they're there. They just sit around in there. They create subtle accounts. They don't deface your websites and do all kinds of outrageous stuff and create accounts called Bite Me and that kind of stuff. And we've seen those before. But eventually, when they're done with you, they just ransomware you. And I mean, they exfiltrate all the things they want. They collect all the information they have. And then I guess at some point they just go, you know what, let's destroy all the backups and run ransomware. And this is sort of that throwing a Zippo lighter over your shoulder back into the building as you walk out, Hollywood action hero kind of, stunt. And then there's a big explosion and green screen and CGI and all that good stuff. So again, if they can get access to the hypervisor, it means they pretty much own you. And if you're subtle, and you can establish that kind of persistence, you can take your time learning what's here, how it works, what's available. Then you can just take everything and burn the place to the ground to cover up all the tracks. So, metaphorically burning the building to the ground, of course. We haven't seen the other one yet. But so don't forget to review your help desk approaches and ensure that your people know that process. And I mean, how do I know that Howard from IT is calling, and his calling is actually Howard? Or is it someone saying they're Howard because Howard's name is in the directory as the IT help desk operative? I mean, this is an approach I was literally using in 1986, and it still works today. Decades. People still fall for Howard from the help desk, hacking hellaciously heavy hard drive, says hi. Yeah. Now, along the same lines, a subsidiary of Allianz, and I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry, Allianz. Please don't revoke my insurance if I have any from you. Allianz is a very large insurance company, and they were targeted, and the attack resulted in the loss of the PII for a lot of individuals, about 1.4 million individuals, in fact. Allianz said that the attackers gained access to the cloud-based customer relationship management, or CRM system, which was provided by a third party, and they got in on the 16th of July. It said they were able to obtain personally identifiable information on a majority of customers and financial professionals, as well as some employees. They didn't say much about the break-in, except that it used an unnamed social engineering technique. I wonder what that was. Now, they didn't say who did it. It wasn't attributed to anyone. And they didn't even specifically say that it was Howard, the helpfully helping help desk helper. But Google did issue a warning that Scattered Spider was targeting insurance companies, and they did say it was social engineering. So even if it's not Scattered Spider, maybe it's Fluffy Panda or some other group, it could be someone else using this very easy to implement technique. I mean, come on down to Uncle Doug's How to Use Log Me In seminar and learn how to compromise giant organizations by just dialing some numbers until you get luck, and Wanda Hapshat is having a great day and feeling like cooperating. I mean, why is that TCP 443 port connection going to Wanda's workstation anyway? I mean, you monitor that kind of connection, right? Like why are people connecting to port 443 on users' desktops? Like, if you don't, maybe you should. Of course, that's no, panacea. They connect on 4443 too, because once you got that user doing whatever you tell them, okay, now open port 4443. How about open some other ones too? Long as you're there, we'll fix you right up. All right. AI controlled dynamic pricing. Oh boy. Let's take capitalism to the new level. Is it, I mean, we've all dealt with controlled dynamic pricing, even if it wasn't being driven by AI or even by an app. I mean, if it's evening rush hour and raining, you might have a problem getting a cab unless you have connections or you look like you'd be a good tipper or the cab driver knows you because you get cabs there all the time. I mean, is it a popular eating time where you are? Well, let's just triple the prices on the board until it slows down. It's just supply and demand economics, right? Uber surge pricing, everybody loves that, right? Just when you need it the most, it triples in cost. You go, oh, I came down here for $5 and now I got to go back for 50. Come on. Well, this article is about Delta Airlines and a program that they rolled out with AI controlled dynamic pricing for 3% of their customers so far. And they said they want to have 20% of all fares being set by this AI system by the end of the year. Now, it's nothing really new. I mean, if you've ever figured out airline pricing, good luck. But, why does it cost $1,500 to fly to Des Moines, Iowa, and $500 to fly to Australia? I've always been shocked. I flew to Munich one time for $300, and I had just flown to Knoxville, Tennessee, and that cost me like $900. And I was like, something's not right here. But anyway, some members of Congress are pushing a bill called the Stop AI Price Gouging and Wage Fixing Act, trying to ban the use of advanced AI to analyze personal data. Because this is the new part. They're wanting to do what is called surveillance pricing. So the AI looks at your personal data, maybe obtained, I don't know how, probably from a browser, and they use that to set prices and wages. So the AI is collecting information on a customer, and then it decides what you might be willing to pay. Now, the FTC back in January was the one that started calling this surveillance pricing, and companies were adjusting their price based on the browser type, the device used, the location of the device, shopping history, and inferred personal characteristics, including wealth. So if you think AI is not coming for you, it is. It may not be a Terminator robot, but it's going to be the insurance Terminator robot, where an AI can look at all this data and go, his lifestyle is not going to be good. We're terminating his insurance. So my new app makes you look and sound like a hobo, with your location being a boxcar on the Cheyenne line and your hardware is a coal-fired laptop from the Victorian age. So, that way you get the best price, because they're like, this guy probably wouldn't pay very much. He's a hobo on a boxcar on the Cheyenne line using a laptop from the Victorian age that's apparently burning coal. So I think we probably are going to have to start trying to deal with counter intel to protect ourselves, because as all the prices become unposted, you won't know what the prices could possibly be. Although then websites with AI will spring up to track them, right? But I mean, if you browse to an airline to buy a ticket to the Mataveri International Airport and some AI decides, wow, this guy can afford to pay more because, it's the Mataveri International Airport. And oh yeah, yesterday he bought a full fare ticket for work in business class. So that would be bad. So you need my app to obscure yourself. But unfortunately, my app won't work because, you have to use your real information to buy airline tickets. I mean, I can't pretend to be Hauser Frundle's Louisiana bar member and honorary chairman of the Crew de View. I would have to be me, or my ticket would say Hauser Frundle's on it. And wait till I try to check in with that. Although it is pretty fun to be Hauser Frundles. I mean, I think this is going to be like Uber surge pricing. It's going to suck, and people will have to come up with strategies. And it is coming soon to a theater near you. A ban seems unlikely at this time because the FTC basically kept saying, "Oh yeah, maybe, I don't know, now's not a good time." That's basically what they do all the time. And I did want to mention this last one to you here. A lot of places are trying to restrict access to all sorts of things on the interweb. Whether it's not allowing you to watch Bewitched in Mexico, or blocking out that sports game you like locally, or maybe even just restrict your access because you're not of age. You're 16 or 15 or 12 or 10 or 9 or whatever. And I mean, schools were using Net Nanny and Dan's Guardian all the way back, when I was doing that all the time to try and keep the kiddies off the porn site. Yeah, good luck with that. I mean, the only thing in the world more persistent than the New York City bed bugs are middle school students seeking pornography. I mean, in my day, there was no internet porn, but there was a full frontal in the Encyclopedia Britannica that you could try to figure out what the coach was trying to say in that health lecture the other day. Anyway, this is driving a lot of people to use VPNs, which isn't a bad thing, but it can be if they're downloading VPNs that are filled with malware from online resources promising them the keys to the porn kingdom or something else. So as of yesterday, half of the top 10 free apps in Apple's app download charts in the UK were for VPNs, because on Friday, the UK implemented this age verification process for all these sites. Now, one VPN app maker said they had an 1,800% spike in downloads. Why? Well, guess what? Everything from Pornhub to Reddit, although I accidentally typed Pornhug. That's a cool name, Pornhug. I don't know what that would mean, but we probably don't want to find out. But Reddit, X, everybody had to have age verification in the United Kingdom. So technically, if you use a VPN, you can pretend to not be in the UK. And when you're not in the UK, then you are not subject to the law. Now, we did this in China to watch Netflix because we set our VPN endpoint to London. It doesn't always work, and lately they seem to be catching on. And I will warn you that when people are trying to watch Friends in Argentina and some app says, "Hey, you want to beat the system? You can watch Friends using our VPN." Somebody's going to download that, even if it doesn't work. And don't even get me started on 12-year-olds seeking pornography, because I guarantee you they will find a way. I went to those schools. I was like, wow, these kids are ingenious. So warn your people about apps and installing them without thinking, but be ready for them to do it, because they will. And the malware they will bring will be on their own devices that they're now connecting. Speaking of crew to view, he might be in the crew of Chewbacca's, which is an actual crew. Hardcore New Orleans bouncer, bounty hunter, and possible member of the crew of Barkus as well. It's Josh Marpet. Hi, Josh.
I have never been an official bounty hunter. Just want to be clear on that. Okay?
I found something. It took forever, but I finally found. Usually I would name something, like cantaloupe farmer, and Josh is like, yeah, I remember when I had that cantaloupe ranch. We raised them wild, free range cantaloupes. So I found something.
You found something. Yeah. No, I've actually participated on Mardi Gras parades with various crews. I have been a bouncer on Bourbon Street, but I've never officially bounty hunted. I only served warrants as a cop a long time ago. So close enough. Anyway.
Have you ever seen the crew of Chewbacca's?
No, I never have. I don't know who that is.
It's like an obscure crew. They hand out little Chewbacca dolls in the parade.
Aww. That's adorable.
I tried to see them, but I could never. I had missed it. They were one of those early crews that went really early. And crew of Barkus is people that dress like dogs, right? I think they all dress as dogs.
Some of them do it on a recreational basis, other than the parades. I'm just going to leave it there.
Come on, yeah, I think you should leave
so,
that. Let sleeping
speaking
dogs
of regulations, oh God, seriously. So speaking of regulations, I have a really cool article. There's a neat bill that I just found out about like last week before, S1582, which is the Genius Act. And it's a Genius Act because holy crap, it's so weird. It's not even funny. Here's the idea. We've been hearing about cryptocurrency since the year of cryptocurrency in 2017 was it, when all those ICOs happened and all the dead coins and shit coins are out there? In 2025, the Genius Act is actually making it legal for anybody that wants to, that has backing from a federal or state, this is very important, or state regulator of finance banking stuff to issue a stable coin based on T-bills, based on central bank currency, which is the US dollar. Okay. And so you can issue a stable coin like Tether or USDT or USDC, I think it is, tomorrow if you wanted to, as long as you're backed, authorized by a state regulator. And there's a lot of states out there, so I'm sure you can find a regulator to do it. And you can issue your own central bank digital currency. Interestingly enough, along with the Genius Bill was another bill that prohibits the actual central bank from issuing their own central bank digital currency. They are privatizing this whole initiative. So anybody that can get federal or state regulation, regulators behind them, can issue a stable coin that's backed by dollars. Now, okay, so what does this matter? And the problem is that it's going to incentivize a lot of scams. Look, cryptocurrency is fascinating. I love the math. It's such cool math, but it's primarily either investors or scammers. And maybe I spoke myself twice, but the point here is that those are really the only people that use cryptocurrency are investors and criminals. So if we now issue or have the ability to issue central bank digital currency, which has at least the veneer of respectability, we could have a big problem. Is it that some, I don't know, orange painted person will issue a central bank digital currency based on a coin they already have? It's possible. Is it that somebody's going to try to make $1 million doing something that actually provides a service? That's cool too. But the problem is that we don't have anywhere that you can point to and say they're regulating them. They're making sure that scammers aren't taking advantage of people. And because we don't have that, because we don't have that regulatory body with that expertise able to regulate those stablecoin issuers, I foresee that this is going to cause some people to make a lot of money. Totally cool if you do it legitimately. And I foresee that there's going to be an incredible amount of scammers that are going to take advantage of it in a really, really bad way. So please, if you're going to invest in cryptocurrency, especially, oh my God, it's a stable coin. It's a central bank digital currency. Oh, cool. It's backed by Arkansas. Maybe read the prospectus carefully. Okay? Just please be careful. Feel free to yell. I'd love to discuss anyone that you see. I'd love to get a list of all the stable coins and all the coins that are being issued under this. It'd be really kind of fun to talk about and have a complete list somewhere, if only to find all the ones that are going to die in 10 minutes and the ones that may succeed. So let me know if you hear about any. Thank you. Back to you, Doug.
Thank you, Josh. I don't care. You can call it stable coin all you want. I'm still scared of it. I mean, I know. I could have had those 100 Bitcoins. Me and Lou could have had 100 Bitcoins back in 2000 or something, but no, we didn't because we couldn't find a pawn shop that was willing to sell them to us. But I agree with you. If you're going to get involved in this, be sure you understand what you're getting involved in and what all the risks are. Just like any investment. I mean, buying penny stocks is a huge risk too. So it's fine. All right. In the big book of what not to have in the background of your presentation, let's add TVs showing retro porn for $500, Alex. Yeah. So in Oklahoma, which is already 48th in K-12 education in the United States, outrage is growing after a video of nude women standing around a chiropractic table in a strangely descriptive, I was like, wow, somebody knows their retro porn. Like, what is a chiropractic table? But anyway, nude women standing around a chiropractic table was apparently visible in the background on a TV that was supposed to be displaying all the exciting charts and graphs, about the schools, I guess. The suspicion, or at least the excuse from the person who was supposedly presenting, who just happens to be a very right-wing conservative type who is requiring that every classroom have Bibles in it or something like that. And said that it had to have been someone in the room whose phone was paired to the TV, but it wasn't his that was directly connected to the TV. No way, man. No way I would do that. I was never there. But yeah, okay, whatever. But of course, there are now investigations raging over the matter, mostly probably over politics, in the state of Oklahoma. I mean, to be fair, this kind of thing happens, and I've seen it. Like, I once typed whitehouse.com into a browser in about 1998 to a room in front of a room full of 2,000 undergraduate students in a lecture hall, and got some really, really hardcore like wah kind of porn on the screen. And I was like, what? Because everybody started laughing. And I was like, what? And I'm not that I'm unused to people laughing at me when I'm in front of a room full of people, but I turned around and went, oh my God. And then somebody complained, they investigated, they decided it was an honest mistake, which it was. But, I don't know what happened here in Oklahoma, but you might want to investigate these kinds of things, and advise your people, like, don't look at porn on your work machine and don't use your porn machine at work. Likewise, your porn phone and your sex toy phone and all the other things that you have, because you could get in this situation. And, I would guess in this situation, probably heads are going to roll. It's not clear whose heads yet, but somebody's heads are probably going to roll. So you don't want to be that person. I mean, regardless of your political position. But that is the news. I will be doing interviews at Black Hat, and coming up in just a week or so. We will still have content right here. Thank you, Josh, and we'll see you next time on the Security Weekly News.